Last week, I made $3,800 from one currency pair, one strategy, and from taking one trade throughout the entire week. And the reason for this is because unlike most people, I don't trade every single day. In fact, I would say I probably on average take one or maximum 2 trades a week. And for most people, that probably sounds like nothing. For most people watching this video, you probably think that's under trading. But the truth is, and what I'll explain to you in this video, you're probably over trading, and that's why you're not profitable. But in this video, I will teach you how to avoid doing that so that you can become profitable just like me and just like my students inside of Trading Edge Mastery. Let's get into this video. And by the way, this isn't going to be some crazy edited video. I'm just going to basically explain to you how I knew to avoid trading at the start of the week and how I was able to take this trade right here that you can see on my screen that made me $3,800. Okay, very, very simple. And by the way, there's so much proof of this because if I just quickly show you guys inside of my Discord, you will see that every single day I said to them, don't trade, don't trade, don't trade. And then on Thursday, we had our setup form and I said trade and it won. Super, super simple, super effective. And that is how you are going to become profitable. So as you guys can see inside of my private Discord, the only trade idea I sent in for this entire week was this one right here on the 12th of June. You can see the one before I sent in was on the 5th of June. So that was the week before. And this week I only sent in one. And the one thing I sent in was this exact setup right here. And as you can see, it ended up happening. Now, I'll get into the exact trade breakdown in a second. And as you can see, this demand was not actually respected, but that doesn't mean the trade is invalid. And I'll explain all of this in this video. And I'll explain to you how I was still able to enter this trade, even though most people would probably think that this trade is going to lose because it disrespected that demand zone. But I'll tell you one thing that I knew that meant this was going to be a winning trade and that this demand zone was not actually disrespected, but was being used as liquidity to fuel a bigger move to the upside. So yeah, let's get straight into the breakdown. So guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the start of this week and we're going to be looking first of all on the DXY. The DXY, in case you don't already know, does the inverse of what GU is going to do. So the reason why I look at DXY is because if I can understand where DXY is going, then simply GU will do the inverse, and that means I also know where GU is going to go as well, okay? And the first thing I do every single week is I draw out my previous week high, so you can see that's up here, and I draw out my previous week low down here. However, the reason I didn't trade Monday is because I didn't really have a clear indication of knowing where Monday wanted to go. It could have gone to the previous week high, or it could have gone to the previous week low. We were sort of in the middle of the range. As you can see, you know, we're sort of, if we draw out the Fibonacci right here from the previous week high to the previous week low, we're basically literally spot on in the middle. So there's no point trading because there isn't a clear draw of liquidity, or at least there wasn't one yet. So I basically waited for Monday to play out, okay? And that leads us now onto Tuesday. So let's go on to Tuesday right here. On Tuesday, the only thing that I could have basically targeted would have been the previous day high right here. So you can see this here would have been the previous day high. If I actually write this out like this, right? That's the previous day high right there. But there was no trade to take, okay? There was no way I was gonna target the previous day high because it wasn't a good enough trade, right? And I can go into more detail on this right now, actually, a bit quickly. But you can see here, right, the DXY Asia range was looking like this, and we came up and we took it out straight away. So before 8 a.m. even begun, or actually right on 8 a.m., we took out the previous day high. So that is our draw of liquidity taken out for the day. So there is now no point trading because our target liquidity for the day has been met, right? So there is now no more target. And that's basically the reason why I didn't trade Tuesday. And also, if we go back onto the hourly time frame, you can kind of see here, we are still sort of in some sort of consolidation period here, right? Which is actually the reason why I didn't end up trading as well. I wanted to see a clear breakout of this range, and I wanted to see price either go towards this 4-hour fair value gap, which was up here. As you can see here, I wanted to see price basically break out of this range and head towards this, right, with a clear shift of momentum, or go towards the previous week low with a clear shift of momentum. But I didn't see that yet, so there was literally no point in taking a trade because I didn't have a clear bias. So yet again, I didn't take any trades at all. And I said this to my community as well on the live trading that I do every single day. I said to them, guys, there's no point trading. We have no bias. Leave it and just wait until we see a move out of this range. So we'll skip now again to Wednesday. Wednesday was CPI day. So of course with CPI, I'm not going to trade anyway. But as you can see with Wednesday, yet again, we were basically just in this consolidation range right here. That was until CPI came out here at 1 p.m. or 1:30 p.m. actually. And as you can see, CPI caused the move out of this range. Now, when CPI caused the move out of this range, I was well aware that that would probably mean on Thursday we can look to take a trade following the direction from CPI, because CPI gave us the volume to tell us where we're going to go towards. And that, my friends, is the previous week low. So as you can see, the volumes come out, CPI came out bearish for the dollar, so that means it's going to keep on going down. The next target liquidity is the previous week low, which is down here, okay? And that is where price ended up going. So if I continue playing out price, you can see eventually on Wednesday, or actually Thursday morning, it took out the previous week low, okay? So as you can see, being patient allowed us to avoid trading this terrible consolidation range, waiting for CPI to come out to give us a clear bias. And then on Thursday, it's very, very simple, okay? On Thursday, we now know the market wants to go lower because we can clearly see it's displacing to the downside, taking out liquidity to the downside. Plus also, when CPI came out for the dollar here, it came out negative. So it came out bad for the dollar, which means that's another confluence for us to take the dollar lower, right? So that's why Thursday was our A-class day. And that's why I took a trade on Thursday. So hopefully this now makes sense and you can understand why I didn't trade on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. And I was waiting to see a breakout of this range to give us a clear direction for the DXY, which was to go lower. So then on Thursday, I could look for buys on GBP USD. And like I said at the start, the reason why is because the DXY and GBP USD move inversely. So let's now go over to GBP USD and explain to you the trade that I took. And of course, remember, I'm looking for buys because DXY is going to go to the downside a bit more. So yeah, let's go. So guys, this here is Thursday. And if we skip towards the start of the day, you can see right here, if I actually reverse it a little bit more, and let's make this full screen. Okay. On Thursday, with my community, I marked out two things. I marked out this fair value gap down here, and I said to them, there's a very big chance we could respect this fair value gap here. So maybe we would just touch it, bounce off it, and head towards the previous week high up here. And that was one scenario. Or scenario number two is we could respect this demand zone down here. So I said this to them on the live trading call. And I also, like I said at the start, sent it into the Discord so they knew exactly what I was looking for. And then we just had to wait for our zones. Okay, but as you will see, if I go to the 15-minute chart, price ended up basically going straight through this hourly fair value gap. Okay, like this. Just wait, you can see here. Where is it? There, boom, right? This selling pressure here basically eliminated any trades from this fair value gap because of course there's no point trading this fair value gap if the selling pressure is this crazy going through it. So you can get rid of it, right? And that eliminated a loss from this area because we knew it was invalid because of the selling pressure coming through this demand zone, sorry, this fair value gap. So then we looked for the demand zone and I was basically waiting for a reaction inside of this demand zone. Okay, now I will be honest with you guys, I did take a very silly loss right here, okay? Basically after seeing this 15-minute candle, it doesn't look like it right now, but at the time, it did sort of look like it might reverse from this area. So I basically took a small entry around here, 0.8% risk, and that will be somewhere up on the screen, right? And my target for this was Asia high. But as you will see, it ends up basically losing straight away, okay? However, that's not really an issue because I was still able to catch a trade after, which made me, I think like 4.6K. And that's how my profit for the day was $3,800. So yeah, now let's actually break down the trade that I ended up taking. So yeah, the first thing we can see right here is it didn't respect my demand zone. But is this actually a massive issue? Not necessarily, right? And the reason it's not necessarily a massive issue is because if we go to the hourly time frame, okay, look at what it was doing right here. What does this look like to you? At least to me, when I was looking at it, it looked like a very clear liquidity sweep of these lows here, right? To grab liquidity to fuel a bigger move to the upside and target the previous week high. That's what it was looking like to me. And that's basically why I still took those buys. Yes, it didn't respect the demand zone, but it did still respect this sweep of liquidity, right? And the reason I could tell it was respecting it is because the wick rejection here on the hourly time frame was very, very, very nice. And in fact, if you actually go to the 15-minute chart, you will also see that we respected this 15-minute fair value gap absolutely perfectly right here. So the trade was still valid. Okay, yes, it didn't respect the demand zone that I wanted, but it still did look valid, and I still ended up taking the trade, okay? And that's totally fine to do. Sometimes you need to adapt your trading for the day based on what the market is doing. You need to react to the market and not try and predict it, okay? So just because it didn't respect my demand zone that I was initially wanting, it doesn't mean I'm not gonna trade. It means that I need to react to what's going on, observe it, and see if the trade is still valid. And if the trade is still valid, then take the trade. So yeah, I ended up basically looking at the charts around this point here because we were clearly respecting this liquidity sweep here. Then I dropped to the 5-minute time frame and I was basically looking for an entry around here. I was waiting for these highs up here to basically get broken through so that we can have a bit more confirmation that we are heading towards the upside. And I think it was around this point right here. I'm not exactly sure of my entry. In fact, I can probably actually pull it up on my phone right now. Just give me 1 second. It will also be somewhere up on the screen. So you can see here, the entry was 485. So 485 is right in here. So basically this area here, you can see I basically entered on the break of this 5-minute high right here, okay? And my stop loss was around, it was around maybe 13 pips. It was covering the hourly candle low. So you can see right here, if I go to the hourly candle, this new hourly candle that formed, all I wanted to do was make sure that the stop loss was covering this low right here. So it was something like this, covering that hourly candle's low. And then the target for this trade was a very, very nice, I think it was a 1 to 3 or something at Asia high. Yeah, around a 1 to 3.6 even. And that basically was the trade. Now, after the trade hit TP, I was also thinking it probably will keep going to the previous week's high, and that did end up happening. Now, it's not one of those things I'm annoyed about, but it is one of those things that I knew would happen because I literally predicted this perfectly. Now, I could have maybe held a bit of profit towards the previous week high, but to be honest, guys, I was very happy with the trade, and I just wanted to close it. So I ended up closing it around Asia high, and that was the trade. Okay, and that, guys, hopefully will show you why you don't need to trade a lot at all. I hardly trade anymore, and as a result, my trading is actually way better than it ever has been because I focus on the best setups, and if it's not a good setup, I will never ever take it. And that, guys, is probably the problem that you're facing right now. I guarantee most of you watching this video, you're probably thinking to yourself, I could probably take a trade like this. I probably understand Sal's strategy, but why aren't I profitable? And I can tell you guys the reason why is because you're probably over trading or you're over risking, or it's just a mix of everything and just terrible psychology in general. The strategy that I trade is not difficult to understand. All of you know that it's just Asia sweeps and targeting external liquidity, for example, Asia highs or the previous week's high. But the issue you have is going to be your psychology. There'll be something in your psychology right now that's holding you back from being profitable, and you need to find out what that is, okay? And if you want help with that, I can help you inside of my private community. I've got tons of people in there right now mastering their trading and actually taking the exact same trades as me without me even needing to tell them to take the trade, okay? And that's what I can help you do. So if you're looking for something like that, and if you're looking to actually get mentored by me to become successful in your trading, then there'll be a link below in the description. You can apply using that link, and hopefully guys, I see you inside. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe if you did, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.